Our next speaker will talk about effective communication strategies for couples. She's a registered psychologist and is presently connected with the Counseling and Educational Psychology Department of the College of Education of De La Salle University, Manila. As a practicing psychologist, she does consultancy work for several organizations, mostly in the field of counseling, psychological testing, and mental health. She has served as a resource person for various seminars and workshops. Make sure to take down notes as I give the floor to Mrs. Nanette Fe Canlas.
Hello, everyone. I am going to talk to you about effective communication strategies and techniques for couples. Okay, communication is very essential in any relationship, especially between couples. No? Kasi communication is both an art and a skill. Now, when you communicate with your partner, even when you do small talks or big talks, what usually happens is that you establish a connection with your partner or with your spouse for that matter. Now, when you establish that connection, you tend to bring a sense of happiness and fulfillment, personal happiness and fulfillment, and then at the same time, fulfillment in terms of your relationship. But if there's one thing that we need to master, it is the art of healthy communication. But it is inevitable that partners sometimes no, they get into fights or arguments, specifically because something was said by the other. And most of the time when this happens, yung mag-asawa, whether alone or together, nag-iisip yan. Ano na nga ba ang nangyari? Bakit nagkaganon? Or possibly, what can I do so that hindi na mauwi sa away pa? And how should I do these things? Hopefully, we will be able to talk about this no, in this session. Now, first things first, posible na nagkaroon ng arguments simply because you made a wrong interpretation. There was a faulty interpretation. Now, always remember that what we hear may not be what the other person is trying to say. So there could be a lot of reasons why people tend to misinterpret. Una, posibleng one reason is that you, because of the tones and the gestures of the person whom you're talking to, or possibly ikaw mismo, yung sariling tono mo at yung mga galaw ng mga kamay mo o ng mukha mo. Pangalawa would be you have your own personal biases, your own expectations, and your own attitude that could affect the way you interpret the message. And the third one could be because you have your own fears and you have your own concerns. Okay? Halimbawa mo, over dinner, your husband told you na, honey, nag-open na yung branch namin sa Davao. Ang daming open na positions. Ikaw, meron kang fear of being abandoned. Okay? So, instead of thinking of it as simply as your husband telling you about the branch that is opening in Davao, ang interpretation mo kagad at ang sasabihin mo sa kanya is, bakit iiwanan mo na ba ako? Doon ka na sa Davao magtatrabaho. Paano na kami ng mga anak mo? Well, that was not the message. But you interpreted it differently because you have your own fear. And that fear could be coming from a personal history, possibly in the past, your parents separated, and you do not want that same thing to happen to you and to your marriage. Okay. So, pag ganun that you're prone to misinterpreting messages, anong dapat mong gawin? Stop muna. Huwag ka munang mag-reply. Okay? Huwag ka munang sumagot. What are you supposed to do now? You have to reinterpret the message. Madaling sabihin, pero mukhang mahirap gawin. But we'll try, no? We'll try to come up with simple steps on how you can reinterpret the message. Basta unang-una, stop. Wag ka munang magsasalita. Now, go back to the original statement. Ano ba talaga yung sinabi niya? Okay? Kunyari, dumating si husband galing sa trabaho, naupo sa couch, tapos hinawakan ng ulo. Sabi niya, nakakapagod. Okay. Pwede mo yung i-interpret in different ways. Posibleng one interpretation could be, pagod siya talaga. Pangalawa, baka traffic kaya pagod. Pangatlo, baka gusto niya ng kape, kaya nagsabi siya ng nakakapagod. Pang-apat, baka iniisip nito, ikaw honey, pagod ka rin ba? Okay? O kaya, gusto nito ng masahe sa ulo kasi masakit ang ulo niya kasi hawak niya yung ulo niya. So, there are many ways on how to interpret it. And you see, pwede kang mamili dun sa mga interpretations na yon. Okay? Pero ang importante is that you clarify to your partner whether you were able to understand what your partner is trying to tell you. So how do you clarify? You ask a question. Okay, so sabihin ni husband, nakakapagod. So pwede mong tanungin, pagod ka, gusto mo bang ipagtimpla kita ng kape? Two things. Your husband could affirm na yes, gusto ko ng kape. So, tama interpretation mo. Or, pangalawa is, pwedeng sabihin ni husband, hindi, okay lang ako, nakapagkape na ako. Nakakapagod kasi ang traffic. Nakadagdag pa yung traffic sa pagod ko. So, you see, if you did not clarify, then you will not be able to realize na yung sinabi pala niyang nakakapagod has something to do with the traffic. At ayaw, hindi naman uutusan kanya na gumawa ng kape para sa Okay, so when we do master the skill of, reinterpreting and clarifying, we can avoid miscommunications. No, remember, there's no harm in clarifying if you got the message. And if you want to clarify, please do so by using non-aggressive words and then try to come up with a tone that is appealing, that is soothing, and not a tone that is imposing or demanding. Okay, we ask questions in clarifying rather than we impose. You see, when you ask questions, you give your partner the chance to fully explain what it is that he wants to say. Okay, now another possible reason why there could be an argument is probably you're not listening. You are not listening. Okay, now listening with the ears. Now you hear pala with the ears, but you listen with the heart. Pero there's a third component that will make communication better. And that is if you hear with the ears, listen, no? Listen with your heart, and then show genuine interest to the person who is talking. And that is what we call as active listening. Okay. So, how will you do active listening? Show your attention. Attend to your partner, to the one who's talking. How do you establish that attending action, attending behavior? Maintain eye-to-eye contact. When your partner is talking, make sure that you are looking at him straight in the eye. Hindi yung nakatingin ka nga, parang blank stare naman, Pero make him feel that you are present with him when he is talking. Now, avoid using your cell phones when your partner is talking to you or looking out the window. Kasi para bang mas interesting pa yung cellphone mo at saka yung nangyayari sa labas ng window kesa dun sa sinasabi ng husband mo. Now, be very mindful of your body language and your facial expressions when your partner is talking. Tapos nag-raise ka ng eyebrow. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Diba ibig sabihin nun, totoo ba yung sinasabi mo? Hindi ata ako naniniwala. Okay? Or probably, just like what this girl is doing, dito sa may babang picture, ito, no? Pwedeng nakaganyan ka, and that would mean to say na, oops, I'm on the defensive. I don't want to hear what you want to say. Okay? Or a simple nod of the head when your partner is talking. A simple nod of your head would mean to say, yes, I understand. Or you show this, you do this. I understand what you're saying. Pero pag gumanyan ka na, bored ka na. Bored, stop. Okay, so be mindful of how we act, our body language, and the facial expression. Now, one technique, again, is that you do not pass the judgment. Well, dapat kasi talaga that we should be able to say what it is that we feel, no? So that we can be released of all these negativities that we have inside. But then, when you actually do not filter what you want to say, what happens is that it results to more arguments and more misunderstandings and more miscommunications. Now, there's a better way of communicating to your partner what it is that you truly feel without passing a judgment. Let us, for example, say, napikon ng husband mo dun sa sinabi ng anak mo. Okay? Tapos ang tendency mo is to pass a judgment, ikaw pikon ka talaga. Okay? So instead of saying that, we can do it in a better way. Communicate what you observe, what you feel, what you need, and then make a request. Okay? So how do we do it? Kanina, nung napansin ko na napikon ka dun sa sinabi ng anak natin at hindi maganda yun sa pakiramdam ko. Siguro kailangan mag-usap na kayong dalawa. Pwede ba? Mag-usap na kayo para magkaintindihan kayo. So, you see, the tone of the voice, the facial expression, and then how you communicate it is different from pikon ka. Alam mo, ang pikon mo. Okay? Now, another thing is that in active listening, inevitable din yung minsan nananahimik yung partner. Okay? Kung kausap natin, respect the silence. Now, silence could mean a lot of things, but let's just talk of two possible things. One possible thing for silence is that your partner is still processing what he wants to say. Gusto pa niyang i-process mo muna, I'm sorry, kung ano yung gusto niyang sabihin. Baka kasi magkamali ng sasabihin o masyadong mabigat ng sasabihin. Let's give that let's give it a thought na baka ganon. Or possible is break muna ako. I don't want to say something yet right now. Now, if nanahimik si husband or si wife when you are talking, then respect. After 1 minute, natahimik pa rin, or 2 minutes, natahimik pa rin siya, then you can always clarify. Parang dun sa kanina, clarify mo. Pwede mong tanungin. A clarification should be stated as a question. Okay? Pwede mong tanungin, do you still need more time bago tayo mag-usap? Gusto mo, bukas na lang natin pag-usapan? Well, when you ask that question, probably it could be a prompt for your husband or for the other person na, ako nga pala, kailangan ko nang magsalita. Sabihin ko na ngayon. Or pwede rin namang i-affirm niya na yes, I still need time to think about things. So, you see, respecting silence is one of the techniques, no, when you want to have healthy communication with your partner. Okay, and active listening allows you to understand what is not only what is said, but also what is not said by your partner. And when you listen to your partner, it makes your partner feel that he's valued. May value siya talaga. And it makes definitely your relationship stronger. Okay. Now, another reason bakit may arguments, baka naman kasi super busy, you have no time to talk na, you have no time for each other. Now, this last strategy that I'm going to talk about is actually a combination of the first two things that I've discussed. And that is the talk date. You go on a talk date. Ano yung talk date? It's a once a week thing that you will have to do with your partner. Parang you have 10 minutes each. Give yourself 10 minutes each to talk about anything. Alam mo yung talk is when you say anything under the sun. And then the other person is only listening to you. No interruptions, no questions asked. It's different from the daily conversations we have, wherein you answer a question that is asked of you. But if it's a talk date, kahit ano pwede kong sabihin sa partner ko within 10 minutes. Now, take turns in doing that. And then, you have to end yung 10 minutes na time slot mo, end mo with actually talking about how you feel right now after talking with your partner. Okay, how do you do it? So it's a practice of active listening. Do not speak at the same time, and then do not interrupt your partner when he is talking, and then pay attention to everything that he is talking about. Next, no judgment. Do not judge him when he is talking. And if ever you need to react to what he is talking about, probably in another session ng talk date ninyong dalawa, you can talk about it. Still observe nyo yung ating formula, which is communicate what you observe, what you feel, what the need is, and then make a request. Okay. Next would be you have to empathize with your partner, the one who's talking, with your spouse. Okay. Put yourself into the shoes of your partner. Alam nyo, it's difficult to talk about something, which is deep coming from within you. Pero your partner chose to talk about it. And so, parang what he's talking about is very important to him and he is sharing it to you. That is your privilege as well. So, respect mo siya. Kasi in the same manner, then when it is already your turn to talk, ganun din ang gagawin niya, makikinig siya sa'yo. And then, use the I statements and feelings. This is just like judgment. Do not focus on your partner, on the other person, but focus on yourself. So, imbes na sabihin mo, nakakainis ka, ang focus mo, kasi nakakainis ka, siya yun eh. So, ang magiging focus mo is, nainis ako sa narinig ko kanina. Okay? So, the focus now is on you. This is one way of, avoiding that blaming thing, yung blame game, and then pointing a finger at the other person. Okay, another thing is that you have to keep in mind that the goal of this talk date is for you to understand each other. 10 minutes is a long time to talk. And a very, very parang refreshing way of unburdening without being interrupted. Okay? And commit to your talk dates. Yung weekly date niyo, always commit to it. Spend time. 20 minutes lang naman siya. Sabihin na natin magiging 25 minutes. Okay? Iba yung date night sa talk date. Kasi sa date night, watch kayo ng movie, Netflix together, o kaya kain kayo sa labas. May conversation, but it's a question and answer thing, but it's not a talk. At hindi ka nagsasalita nang walang nag-i-interact sa'yo. So to make sure that you have 20 minutes every week to spend with your partner. Okay, and you see, talk dates give you that safe space and chance to talk and be listened to. Okay, you will learn so much from each other. Imagine, walang questions, pero kung ano yung nasa isip ng partner mo at anong nasa isip mo, nasasabi mo. And it adds value to the quality of your relationship and communication. Okay, so before I end, I'd like to share with you this thing that I was able to see is the internet. The 10 rules for a happy marriage. First is never both be angry at the same time. Never yell at each other unless the house is on fire. So if one of you has to win an argument, let it be your mate. If you must criticize, do it lovingly. Never bring up mistakes of the past. Tapos na yun. Neglect the whole world rather than each other. Never go to sleep without settling an argument. At least once a day, say a nice thing or any complimentary word to your partner. And then when you have done something wrong, admit it and ask for forgiveness. Mahirap gawin tong number 9 na to. Pero it's one of the things that will make your marriage a happy marriage. And remember, it takes two to make a quarrel. Hindi lang siya ang may kasalanan, kundi dalawa. With that, I end and I hope I was able to share something worthwhile and of value to all of you. Thank you.